Many thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Good day everyone and welcome back to the Explorer for another video. In today's video I'm going to do my first experiment with a VLF receiver. It's more like an atmospheric VLF receiver. I found this one on the schematic on the QRP guys website. I think it used to be sold as a kit and it was called Sferics receiver. I really liked it, and because I wanted to start my experiments with VLF, I thought this should be a good project to begin with, just because it's very simple. So I have it right here. We're going to get here on the table really quick. We'll talk a little bit about it and how I ended up building it, and we'll have a look at the schematic. And after that I'll try to go outside, and because I had a couple of people ask me on Instagram what can you hear with it, I'll try to see how I can install my Insta360 camera, so we have a walk around and at the same time you'll be able to listen to the sound of the receiver while I'm moving. So yeah, of course I cannot jump into the next chapter of this video without saying thank you to my friends at PCBWay for sponsoring this video and always supporting the DX Explorer channel. Remember, they have great PCB prototyping services, CNC, 3D printing, SMD stencils. They also have a great module shop where you can buy a bunch of things that might be useful to your projects. And talking about 3D printing, recently I actually ordered 3D printed CW key that I really liked, and definitely I'm going to try to order a couple of more 3D printed stuff from PCBWay. As I'm always saying, PCBWay is the way. Alright, so this is it. This is the prototype that I've made of this very simple receiver. If you have a look on the screen right now, you can see the schematic. It's not exactly the original schematic that I found on the QRP guys, which originally was designed by K8TND. But it's very similar. I just made little modifications in order to make it work for me. First issue that I had, actually I think it was the only issue, is that I had AM broadcast band interferences from a very strong local AM stations. Basically we have an antenna tower somewhere close by, a couple of kilometers away from here, and it's very powerful, and I believe that's the reason why I have the interferences so strong. You might not have them, so some of the components in the schematic might be optional. When you build the receiver, first you try without those components, and after that, if you have AM broadcast band interferences like I did, then you can place those three, and I'll tell you now exactly. L1 and C10 and C7, all these three are optional. L1 and C10, they are basically an AM trap. I managed to remove the AM broadcast band interferences pretty much, not completely, but for that reason I also added C7, which is 1 nanofarad, but I'm trying to see if I can also use some smaller value, maybe the order of picofarads. We'll see. Once I'm going to finish the final version in the PCB design and I'm going to publish the whole thing on the website, I'll let you know exactly what value I used, because I don't want to influence the signal that I'm getting from the preamplifier on the input, the signal that goes to the audio amplifier. So yeah, also the original schematic, it was using a J310 JFET transistor. I didn't have that one, so I'm using BF256B. R7 in our schematic, the bias resistor, if you look in the original schematic, I believe, if I remember, it was somewhere around 6.2 kilo ohms. The reason I placed a 10 kilo ohms trimmer resistor is just because I can't remember if it was on the QRP guys website or into some other article of a very similar receiver as the schematic, but on the drain of the JFET, or basically in my schematic, the junction point between R8 and C7, you're supposed to measure 5 volts over there. So basically I'm adjusting R7 until I'm getting 5 volts on the drain of the JFET transistor, and after that the signal goes into the audio amplifier, and from there it's an easy job. Here, if you look on the prototype, I tried to split this in 2 parts, not necessarily because I wanted that, but it was easier for me. If you remember the older LM386 audio amplifier that I presented in one of the videos, because I'm working on redesigning the PCB board, so I can also order PCB boards for this one as well from PCBWay. I decided to modify it and adjust it to the schematic that we had on the screen earlier, and over here is the preamplifier part with the JFET transistor. I'm missing the antenna connector right now. I'm going to put it back in just a little bit so we can go outside and do a couple of testing for you to hear what you could hear with this sort of receiver. I would say that it's not just a receiver. I would take it more like a scientific instrument, because similar receivers like this one, maybe not as simple, probably more complex than this one, but the idea is the same. They were used in research for natural phenomena of the earth, you know, like earthquakes or thunderstorms and so on, a bunch of natural phenomena. So yeah, it's more like a scientific instrument. Just make sure you don't use it when you have a storm close by, because it might be a very bad idea. So yeah, you might want to keep it inside. First of all, it's going to also damage your JFET, but that's not the issue. But you might risk to get struck by the lightning, and you would not like that very much. So yeah, safety first. So yeah, it's a very, very simple receiver, easy to build, no headaches. It works right away, and we'll put it together really quick. I'll put the antenna over here. I'll talk a little bit about the frequency response on the input in a little, but yeah, other than that, there's really no issue. It's easy to build, even by kids. I would recommend this to kids because I think it's interesting and exciting, even for me, and I'm 44, I believe. Yeah, 44. It's very interesting, and it's exciting to get to listen to those very strange sounds coming from Mother Nature, and not always, because you can also get to hear some artificial sounds. So frequency response, basically right now the antenna that I'm using is about 60-70 centimeters long. I can't remember exactly how much that is in feet. I believe it's 2 feet or something like that. But the longer the antenna, the lower the frequency response of the preamp that you get. So basically it would resonate better on lower frequencies. You can also do that by playing around with the value of this resistor, which is supposed to be 1, but I did right now in the schematic I'm using 20 mega ohms. I did not have 20 mega ohms, so I'm using 10 mega ohms, the 2 resistors in series. But you can increase this value probably by adding more resistors in series, up to maybe 100 mega ohms, and that will also get the preamp to resonate better on lower frequencies. I wouldn't go that low, so basically I prefer to stick to the 20 mega ohms version, just because you might end up having a lot of issues with power lines and so on. But anyway, it's good to stay away from power lines and as far as possible from trees, because they are pretty much dead zones. The places with trees, if you stay close by to a tree, that's a dead zone. You won't get to hear much. But you can experiment, feel free, because I want to do that as well, to see the difference between trees and no trees. And also it's a bad idea to stay close to the power lines, especially like high voltage power lines, because all you will hear, it would be the buzzing of the electrical the voltage going through the wires. So yeah, but you'll see that when we go outside, and we'll try to do some experiments. I'll walk around a little bit for you to hear different sounds, and you'll be able to hear my steps when I'm walking on the ground. If we're lucky to find the cat somewhere around, I'll try to pet the cat, and you'll hear the sound of my hand petting the cat into the receiver. So it's really, really interesting. I really like it. It's a fun thing to experiment with. So anyway, let's go outside, play around a little bit. You get to hear a couple of sounds of what you could receive with this one, and if you think it's worth it and you would like to build it, I would recommend it to build one for your kids or for your nephews if you have. I think it would be great for them to play around a little bit. Make sure you place the entire thing in a metallic enclosure, and the ground connection of the PCB board, it's connected to the metallic enclosure, and you will have to hold it in your hand, because you will be basically the artificial ground that this receiver needs in order to receive and work optimally for what you're trying to listen. So basically keep the antenna in the air, don't touch the antenna, just touch the case, which is supposed to be connected to the ground of the PCB, and everything will work fine. So okay, let's go outside and have a listen. I talk too much, but it's a really interesting and exciting project, so I'm trying to explain the best I can. Alright, so I don't know how well you will be able to hear this. So I'm holding the receiver somehow to touch the ground. If I don't touch the ground, it doesn't receive so well. Let me hold it from the... So it starts oscillating. Same thing if I hold it from the antenna. So basically the best way is to hold it touching the ground and avoid touching the antenna. There's a car passing by, so I hope it won't bother. And it's going to be a lot of dust. But yeah, I'm still getting some AM broadcast band interferences. They're not as high, but I'm going to start walking around. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'm going to cut the microphone, so you'll be able to hear the sounds of the receiver. Right now, I get to hear a lot of cracks and noises. But yeah, let me walk around a little bit, and you'll be able to hear my steps walking on the grass, which is kind of interesting. So basically you don't want to move too much when you're listening. And right now it's a little bit quiet. If I put the audio amplifier all the way up, I hear more AM broadcast band interferences. If I take it a little low, I don't hear as much. So yeah, so far this is the best filtering that I could do in order to make it work better. But if you guys know any better ways, in case anybody of you built this before and you found a better solution, please let me know. Feel free to write down in the comments. There's another car passing by, so it might be a little bit more dust. Let's be quiet and listen to see if we get to hear any sounds from the car. Nothing. Diesel engines. They're very reliable and they don't create noisy interferences. So yeah, let's go in a place where I have a little bit of electrical wiring, and you'll be able to hear noises and interferences from that. I'll go across the street on the other side. Right, I'm going to start walking on the street as well. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Get to hear my steps. Very interesting. Let me get close by to the electrical wiring. I'm pretty far, sorry I cannot zoom in. Sounds like a guitar amplifier with very bad grounding. So yeah, right now this is just like a very simple and short demo. You get to hear more interesting sounds. Definitely, I think it was C7, the one that it's 1 nanofarad. I'll try to lower that one even more to just a couple of picofarads, see if it still removes some of the broadcast band interferences, and probably I'll get to hear even more and even better of what this receiver can do. So it's funny that my well, actually that's very high frequency. The wireless microphone does not affect the receiver. Let's go here. I have a box. That was another box with electrical wiring right in the front of the house. So yes, this is the demo. Sorry, it cannot be more interesting today. You don't get to hear much. I can still hear the hum. But there are softwares. I'm going to put links to a couple of things that you can find online. You'll be able to put the recorded sounds through a waveform, so you get to see visually the waveform. And I think if you stay sit and quiet, you'll be able to hear a lot of interesting things. I have a lot of fun late in the evening. So yeah, I guess that's it with the demo. Well, I hope you liked the today video, and I hope you found it to be very interesting. I'll try to come up with something new in the future. I don't have too much free time to start new projects. Also, I'm spending a little bit of time trying to finish redesigning all the older projects that I've done so far, and I made modifications to. I updated the PCB files on the PCB Wave project and also on the blog articles. I'm still working on that, trying to catch up, and by the end of the year I want to, like at the beginning of next year, I want a fresh start, and I want to be up to date with everything that I have on the blog. Basically, most of the projects that I'm presenting in the YouTube videos, I also want them on the blog, so people can have access to all the information and all the files in case you want to do something at home. Probably in the next video we're going to play around building the finished version of the mini whip antenna, just because I received my my PCB boards from PCBWay and a bunch of other things I'll show you in the next video. So yeah, and by the way, remember a long time ago I said that I'm going to do a 5,000 subscribers giveaway. I don't have all the PCB boards yet, the ones that I promised in that video, but probably I'll do a 5,000 subscribers giveaway with the PCB boards that I have available right now, and probably later on I'll try to add a couple of those that I didn't get to yet to update. So once again, thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you will come back soon for another one. Until then, thank you, and 73 from Yankee Oscar 6 Delta X-Ray Echo.